Hey guys, welcome back to another movie review. So tonight, I just got back from watching Moana 2. Now before I start yapping about this movie, let me go ahead and say this first. I was a fan of the first Moana movie, and I thought that was one of the best Disney movies ever made. And when I heard that Disney announced a sequel to the first Moana movie that was originally going to be a TV show for Disney Plus, I was excited for it, but I was also nervous for it at the same time. I thought the trailers for this movie were cool, and that's how I kind of got excited for this movie. And now that I have seen this movie, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and say that this movie was aight. This movie wasn't bad, but it's not as good as the first Moana movie. There are some things to process here, so let's break down the best and worst parts of the movie. Starting with the positives, the first positive for this movie is the animation quality. Just like the first movie, the animation is beautiful. I just love how vibrant the movie looked, and every single frame in this movie was phenomenal. Overall, the animation in this movie was just as good as the animation in the first movie. Another positive for this movie is the humor. The humor in this movie was funny compared to the humor in the first movie. This movie had some solid jokes that landed pretty well, and I laughed at every single one of them. Overall, I thought the humor in this movie was funny. Another positive for this movie is the character developments for both Moana and Maui. It was just great seeing these two characters back on the big screen, and I thought they had some great moments together on screen. And I also thought they shared such a great dynamic. And Ali Carvalho and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson once again kill it as the voices of these two characters. Overall, it was just great seeing these two characters share great moments together again. And my final positive for this movie is the fun new side characters they introduced. The new side characters that were introduced in this movie were just really fun characters to watch on the big screen. Moni is a great example of a fun new side character introduced in this movie. This dude was just such a hilarious new side character, and he had some good moments along with other new side characters. Overall, I thought this movie did a good job of introducing new side characters that were fun to watch. And now let's get into the negatives. The first negative for this movie is easily the songs. The songs in this movie are not bad, but I just don't think they're that memorable compared to the songs in the first movie. And the reason why I say that is because this movie is just missing the presence of Lin-Manuel Miranda, who helped write the songs for the first movie. And in this movie, it shows. Overall, I stand by the fact that this movie needed Lin-Manuel Miranda. Another problem with this movie is the way they use the villain. The villain of this movie is named Matangi, and she's a goddess that has some super cool powers, and she had potential to be a great Disney villain, but this movie made some weird choices with this character. Overall, I wish this movie could have done so much better with this character. Another negative for this movie is that they underutilized some of the new side characters. Some of the new side characters in this movie didn't really get their own arcs, and they didn't do much. Overall, I wish some of these new side characters had some things to do in this movie. And my final negative for this movie is the way they use Moana's sister. This movie basically used Moana's sister as a plot device. She basically had nothing to do, and she was barely in this movie. Overall, I'm praying that Moana's sister gets something to do in the next movie if Disney does make it. But overall, I had an enjoyable time at the theaters watching this, and even though this movie is not as good as the first Moana, I still thought this was an enjoyable sequel, and I thought this wasn't a bad Disney movie, and the rating I would give for this is a solid 7 out of 10. And before I end this video, I want you to keep in mind that this movie has a mid-credit scene, so make sure to stick around for that. But anyways, yeah, that's my review of Moana 2, and thank you for watching. If you want to see more reviews like this, follow me for more. Peace out.